the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate
Rita?
notice
I'm
of
sorry.
this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City on January 9, 2017, and the Atlantic County Record on January 11, 2017. Mr. Gishard,
Present.
Mrs. Link,
Here.
Mr. Schenker, Mr. Silva.
Here.
And Mayor Kurtz.
Here. I'm going to ask for a moment of silence and ask us to remember a great member of our community, William Bush. It was Amy Gatto's grandfather who passed away, and we send her our condolences. Addition and deletion of late agenda items considered for tonight's action.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain. Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings. Mike?
Don't want to sign
Nothing? Okay. Discussions, formal actions may be taken. We have nothing there, I'm sorry. Item 4, public hearing, adoption of ordinances. A, ordinance number 1850-2017, an ordinance establishing speed limits for the entire length of Grand Avenue, situated in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey. This is a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to comment on this?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain.
I move ordinance 1850, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita?
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
And Mayor Kurtz.
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
4B, ordinance 1851-2017, an ordinance establishing speed limits for the entire length of Township Avenue, situated in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey. Again, this is a public hearing. Anyone have any comments on this item, B?
Close the public portion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
I move ordinance 1851, 2017.
Second.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion and a second. Rita?
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
And Mayor Kurtz.
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Okay, 5A, award bids, contracts, change orders. A, authorizing purchase of a 2017 mid-size SUV from Winter Ford in the amount not to exceed $26,277 under State Contract 88728. This is something for use in Public Works. We've discussed this previously.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita?
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
And Mayor Kurtz.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Item 6, consent agenda. We need a motion to approve items A through I.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Could you give me 1 second, Mr. Mayor?
Certainly.
Is I the performance guarantee?
Yes, it is.
Could we take that out, please?
Sure, Ken. We have, we're looking then to amend our motion for the consent agenda A through H.
I amend my motion to, for 8H. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain. And we'll move to item I.
So moved.
Bob, did you have any
Oh, do you wanna
discussion
talk
on
about
that?
1 second before we talk about it.
I didn't recognize you with a tie on, so.
I know that. There's a motion on the floor.
Yes, we have a motion. And do we get a second?
I think I seconded it.
Oh, yeah, Rodney seconded. Okay, Bob?
Before you take your vote on that,
Sure.
This was the submission of almost 1.5 million as a cash guarantee performance.
I read that.
And we've never had one quite that big before. And I was concerned that, believe it or not, sometimes banks fail. And I couldn't imagine where we would be placed, being the entity that deposited such funds and something happened. So I contacted Dottie, and she contacted some folks at upstate. And just so that you're aware of this, this is protected under the Government Unit Deposit Protection Act.
Oh, wow,
But-
that's good.
Dottie and I had initial concerns. We took it to, or she took it to the right people. And I just want you to know that even though it's that big of a cash deposit, we are told from the state that it is protected.
Oh, that's
There's
great.
a stated amount on how high they protect, though, right, on Gupta?
I guess,
There is no limitation. Good, thank you.
Well, Dorothy, thank you for looking into that. That's good information.
What was the name of the entity that
the
guaranteed?
governmental entity?
Yeah.
Gupta.
Governmental Unit Deposit Protection Act.
So, does this apply to all our performance guarantees?
Cash.
All the cash we have?
Some of the performance are done by letters of credit, some are done by bonds, some are done by cash. But this was an unusually large one, and it made the light go off, and I think you have the assurances that you need.
Okay, thank you. So on the consent agenda, we need a motion to approve I,
Well, you have the motion in a second. I'd like you to do a roll call with respect to that one.
just for that one. Rita, could we have a roll call on item I under the consent agenda, please?
Yes. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Kurtz?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
7, minutes of July 19th regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? Abstain? Minutes of June 19th, 2017 executive session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Kurtz?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Item C, payrolls and bills. Bill list total $7,040,148.65.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Kurtz?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Quick meeting here. 8, reports. A, administrator.
I have nothing to add to my written report.
Okay, great. Our solicitor, Bob.
Yeah, I got a lot to report.
All right, I'm ready.
Yeah, he's gonna,
Nothing.
he's gonna be
Nothing,
a
okay.
spoiler.
And our engineer.
We have our written report, Mr. Mayor. I'm available for questions. I did want to add one late-breaking bit of information, encouraging news on McKee Avenue. After negotiations between the planning board engineer, the Lidl grocery store, the DOT, it looks like there may be some movement on that right turn lane coming out of McKee Avenue, for which dedication was set forth under the AutoZone application.
Yeah.
So for that, I think in the overall scheme of that redevelopment of that intersection for Lidl, there may be some movement on that right turn lane. They may be able to install that, so.
Oh, that's great.
Fantastic
Yeah.
news.
Progress
That is
right
very
now.
good news,
Not
yeah.
finalized, but it's looking that way.
And
I
you know-
understand, yeah.
And since you opened Volunteer Way, too, I talked to several people that live in the fairways, and they noted a significant reduction of problems on McKee Avenue now. So I think all those things are going to add
So
to,
they're bypassing that intersection.
yeah, and when
by
they
going
open
back
up
on.
Renaissance Drive, the whole thing, everything will be positive in there.
So what do you attribute the reason for this breakthrough that we're suddenly making some progress on that?
It's just communication between all the entities, or understanding that lane was needed and it was part of that intersection improvement. They didn't realize there was right-of-way set aside for it. Planning board, in its wisdom, had required the right-of-way to be set aside for it and broke it loose.
Great.
It's concerning the development over at the Weymouth Road where the county's doing the paving at Harding Highway.
Yes.
I've been through there several times. I've been up there with Roger, and there's a couple questions on that. You can see where some of the repair work, particularly sidewalks, is absolutely beautiful. They put a little apron in and part of the curb and then the sidewalk. It looks great, and then there's a break and nothing terrible. I know they're still working. My assumption is that part of that has to do with the fact that they're going to widen the driveways for the company that's coming in there.
For Intex.
Yeah, so they have to address that width before they continue on with any more sidewalk? Is that rationale?
Well, that is true, and they are coordinating with that company to do that. But there's no reason why that would prevent them from putting it in now. I could take a look at it and make sure that that's the section. I mean, I have both the county plans and the Intex plans, and I can look at whatever section that is. I haven't seen that particular piece that you're talking about, and just
Yeah.
find out, make sure that's where they match
Yeah,
up.
and look beyond that, too, behind the second driveway in up to Wheaton Avenue there.
Exactly, Wheaton Avenue.
There's some bad sections there that
That
we
need
would-
to be fixed, and it appears they're not fixing.
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
think, what are they doing? Are they doing a one pour?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
so, okay, so it's, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd appreciate if you could look into that. It's, when you're looking at it, it just looks like something's being left or not being.
And we have a good line of communication with the engineering department of the county. I mean, we can just call over there and say, hey, we think this is what we think should be done, and
Okay.
they always listen. They don't always do what we
Yeah.
want them
They're
to.
doing a
gonna
good
say,
job.
they-
I understand they have to address all the infrastructure work first. And there was some concern out at the Fayo's Market, but they can get to his place. He's okay now with it. They can go up and come around the other way by where the old Wawa was, and they allow him to come up and turn on Weymouth Road. So he's getting his customers. But I just thought that was a concern we ought to look into.
Go over and take a look at it, Mr.
The
Mayor.
fact that they put some more of those inlets along there, is that going to help with the drainage problem?
It doesn't address all of it. It does help.
I thought they were going to go to more extensive measures in that area.
It's a matter of money.
Is that opposite?
Getting a volume is probably exponential cost to try to get all the volume in the water. They'll pick up as much as they can.
Great.
How about Mill Street? Is that, I mean, that's part of 559 too. Are they going to continue on that road?
Not to my knowledge.
Eventually, I thought they were supposed to finish that all the way up to the light.
They will eventually. That's
Eventually.
not. I may not even have all the plans, but the plans that I got from the county don't include that scope of work.
Okay.
Well, maybe you can ask for it.
Well, when you say up to the light, is that up to the Harding Highway and US 40
50,
light?
yeah.
The 50,
Yes.
51. How about Harding Highway in itself, the rest of it? I think this goes up to 559, right? Beyond 559 is in need of quite a bit of work also.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
By
definitely.
soil conservation.
It's terrible there.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have any status on that, or shall? is that
I'll
one-
inquire.
I'll have to,
Yeah, I would
okay.
inquire.
I have a question about that strip of road. The sidewalks are crumbling there, and the curb is crumbling, and whose responsibility is that? Ours? Along Mill Street, 559?
Mill Street is a township road. No?
Well, that's part of 559, I think, isn't it?
County road?
It's county.
County.
County road.
Still county.
So is that yes or no?
Our responsibility, it's a county road.
Normally, the property owners are responsible for the sidewalk in front of their own property.
Oh, the
But it's very difficult for them to be able to make repairs on a road like that, like Shore Road and other roads like that, because the curb reveal is different, because they've repaved the road many times through the years. And usually everybody waits until the county's going to do a comprehensive project before that work gets done.
Yeah, I know that in front of Barbarita and Byers, the way the trucks came out from Wheaton's, the swing always went on the sidewalk and made it crumble. you know, but you're saying that each of the homeowners in that area are,
With regard to sidewalks, normally that's,
how about curbing? Curbing.
You know how you're responsible to shovel your own sidewalk in the snow? Those responsibilities extend to the safety of the sidewalk in all aspects. So if there's a tripping hazard or deteriorated concrete, theoretically, the homeowner is responsible for that.
So are there standards the homeowner is responsible for maintaining?
Well, I mean,
for
it's a
those?
legal question. You're crossing the line of my own area of expertise, but normally in our practice, that's how we approach it to the extent that the municipality has curb and sidewalk programs. In this case, that would be the county, but also the property owners are also responsible for the safety of the pedestrians in front of their own property.
John, we
In
saw
many
that.
cases,
What's
the
that?
land underneath the sidewalk is part of the land of the homeowner, subject to the right of the state to, compel them to improve it and maintain it. So he's exactly right.
Well, just like those 3 stores, where the barber shop is. He had to do all that cement work himself, including, do the repairs there, because it was in awful shape.
And sometimes it gets to the point where you can't wait for the county to take over, or they're not doing any road program soon, and your patrons are in jeopardy, and you have to do something. And it's the property owner that ends up doing that.
Well, I know on Mill Street where the pub is, and
Yeah. Mill Street Pub.
I don't think the property owners were part of that project where they replaced all the sidewalk there.
I don't know if they were
You know?
or not.
I mean, that was when Frank Giordano was here and
Yeah, you mean on the south side.
the south side, north side, yeah, okay.
The Mill Street Pub is on the north side. The
Okay.
sidewalk replacement that I recall was on the south side.
Yeah,
And I think the county did contribute part to that.
Yeah,
they did, yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Can I ask,
It would be interesting if the people would get together and try to get that improved. I don't know how, but,
we have an update on the curb situation on Main Street by 50, where the state did the repaving. Some of the curbs were damaged, and as far as I knew, there were no provisions for fixing that. Has there been an update on that?
is it 50 and 40, you mean?
50 and 40.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything on that. Have you, Mike? No.
No, they're just not throwing money our way, are they?
No, they're not. Anything else? Kevin, you're all set?
No, I'm fine, Mayor. If any questions, any other
Great.
questions?
I'm going to move on to Township Committee members. I'd like to start off. First, I'd like to mention about some violations that we've had in the township that are being corrected. But before I start that, I've been the recipient of some demeaning emails attacking myself that start off like Mayor addressed to me and other committee members, and then it goes on to say, Mayor, you guys are useless. Emails are coming from a member in the town who sits on a board, and it bothers me. I want to bring it out because the items that this person requires us to address, we are addressing. It takes time to settle some of these items. Some of them are the parking at the Paragon, the 3 properties in town that need demolition, Knightsbridge Way and 2 over here, and I think it's 7th Street, is that correct? Mm-hmm. And it concerns me that rather than addressing myself personally after a meeting or coming into town hall to get your questions answered, attacking you by email is something that I don't like at all. But for the record, I would just like to say that we've had the owner of the Paragon in here, we had a meeting, and this is a result of an administrative review meeting that we had here in the conference room not long ago. I thought it was productive. Mike took notes. Phil took notes. Phil couldn't be here tonight, so I just kind of filling in for this information that I talked to him about. But besides the Paragon, there were some issues, like I said, with those 3 homes here in town. I just want to report that that issue has been dealt with. It's not complete yet. First of all, those homes are going to be addressed, and they're going to be addressed in the fashion that they have to be, allowing the proper procedure to run. The next step would be the Property Maintenance Appeals Board, which it will go before, and once it goes through there, then there's a few other steps, and maybe back to the Property Maintenance Appeals Board, and finally we'll get those structures taken down. But the process is being done the way that it should be, by professional members of our boards. And I just wanted to...
American Legion also would do
Yeah,
it,
American
right?
Legion. But all these items that are referenced in these emails are being dealt with. And sometimes you have to like stand back and take a look at the process which you have to go through to make it happen. Not everybody's happy with it. It takes time, but I just wanted to put that out there on the record that these items that were talked about are being addressed. And we honestly address every issue that comes up. It's frustrating sometimes to see how the time it takes to get something handled in the procedure in which it has to go through to make it happen, but it happens. And and our board members do a great job, and the process is something we need to go through completely to make these items get done correctly. And that's really all I had to say on that. I just wanted to bring that out. The other item is I was out on the Pike this weekend with my wife, and Palace, the water thing, Palace Pizza, the river rafting was a nightmare. There were cars parked crossways, sideways. It was not good. I mean, but it was good for them. I imagine they had a lot of people on the river by the looks of the amount of cars out there. And Phil did, I understand, Mike, Phil, they did send Hannah out, our code enforcement officer, and there was a violation issued. But it's something that needs to be addressed. Roger's concerned with this too. He brought it to my attention. Before something terrible happens in the way of a catastrophe or fatality out on the Pike. These people are parking in any available shoulder area, open space, I don't even know, private property, I don't know. It's just, but crossing the Pike on a busy day like that with traffic on a weekend is an unsafe condition. And we are addressing that also. It's just, I wanted to bring it up to highlight it as a real problem, and we're going to have to kind of dig into that. Also, we'll try to lighten this up with some good news. The hometown celebration was last week. It rained in the morning. I was there at 5 o'clock. We must have had 3 inches of rain in the first 2 hours. It was amazing. There were mud puddles. It just went away. The sun came out. It all dried up, and we probably had one of our better hometown celebrations. We had a great crowd. We tried some new things this year that I thought were good. We actually like they unlocked the ocean in Atlantic City. Amy Gatto had a friend who made a giant key, all mahogany. It must be 4 feet long. And we went out in the lake. And we did an unlock the lake ceremony for the beginning of the season. It was well received. There was a lot of people there to see it. And in the beginning of the hometown, they also had a company come in, Remax Platinum, and they dropped 500 beach balls from a 70-foot crane to open the thing up with the kids scrambling around to get the beach balls. And at that time, the sun was out, the sand was dry. So my congratulations to the Mays Landing Merchants Association and everybody who made that happen, because it brought our community together. And in the fire department, at one point, the lot was full. So, we had a few vendors that they say that didn't show up because of the rain threat. But all in all, it was a great community event. safe, no one was injured or hurt, and everybody had a great time. So I wanted to get that out there. It was very good. And last, Cirque du Soleil. Have you ever heard of the Cirque? Their Cirque Italia is coming to the Hamilton Mall. The only way you can find it, though, is go on the website and look for it. I think they're doing a poor job of advertising it, but that's a big deal for our community. I seen it in Vegas 15 years ago. It was a $100 ticket, and now they're having it right in the parking lot at the Shore Mall on the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. 3 shows on the weekend and 2 other ones. We met with John Powell, the owner of the mall. He's excited, but not many people know about it. The tickets are very reasonable, $10 to $50, $10 to $50, and it's a Cirque Italia is a water show. It's quite impressive, and the tent is very high, very tall tent to allow diving and things like that. So it's amazing to have a program or something like that happening in our area. They had a little issue with trying to get their permits together last minute, but we worked together with them to make that happen with our fire inspector and the different departments, and it did happen, and they're ready to go. So I just wanted to bring that out there. If anybody would like to go out and attend that, I know my wife and I are going to try to go. I can tell you from seeing it, it's a great show, and I'm really surprised that I heard it was right here at Hamilton Mall.
I thought you said Shore Mall.
No, Hamilton Mall. And that's it. That's all I have. And I'd like to move on to Raj.
Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't bring the key, John. I think.
I know, I forgot it. I wanted to bring the key to show you.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, very, very well
All
made.
hand carved. The
Yeah.
gentleman that made it did a phenomenal job. And I think that
Swimming.
the whole thing unlocking the lake was a first time, and I thought it went over very well. What most impresses me about Hometown Celebration is the fact that when we get so many people together in that park, and it's so orderly, and generally, Chief, do you ever remember any incidents there over the years? No. I don't remember any ever since we've been doing it from 2011. And to have that number of people in there and tend to disperse, I think it speaks volumes of the town and the type of community we have, and the number of people that like to come to events like that. And I think, you know, John, the fact with the Cirque du Soleil that you're talking about, you know, and talking to the mall people, that anything they can do to bring traffic to the area, they want to do, and I think it's important. And while a lot of people think the mall is in trouble, the meeting we had with the mall owner, he didn't indicate that to us at all, did he, John?
No, he didn't. No.
He had felt that, you know, the stores there are holding their own. Obviously, they would like to do a lot better, but when you look at it from that standpoint, we keep forgetting. I still open up the paper on a Monday, and how many pages of foreclosures? 13, 14? And, you know, and I just wonder where they're all coming from. And, you know, and it's probably still part of that whole rash of them that never hit the newspaper, and a lot of people, you know. But I think this summer is going to be very busy in the area. I know the Cove. Lisa, what did you say? How many badges did they sell the other day?
Yesterday, 134 in one day.
Wow.
Which, again, is another significant thing for the Cove.
Good.
You know, a lot of people like to use it. I mean, every time you go by, or when I go up to Weymouth, you know, going to Weymouth Road, I look back and you can always see across the lake. It's a picture. I mean, it's nice to have a lake in our area. But again, I think we still have a lot going for us. And John, I'm glad you brought up that email, because it's derogatory not only toward you but to all of committee. And none of us like to hear those comments. You know, the referral to, you always talk about the positive things. Why don't you talk about the negative things? Well, we do. And you know, people have a free voice at that microphone. They have an opportunity to come up here, like many of them do. We had it last meeting, was it, when Horizon came up and had an issue they brought before us? And obviously, Michael, I think at some point we'll be dealing with that, right? And I think that's going to make the difference in the long run. So one thing we've always done on this committee is let people speak. You know, this is their meeting, so they have an opportunity to do that. So that's pretty much it, John. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Raj. Rodney?
Well, certainly, I'd like to echo your comments with regard to the hometown celebration. Given the start of it, which was, it looked like it could be disastrous, it turned out very well, and I certainly want to give kudos to the people that are associated with putting that together. Amongst the many events, one was the Pooch Parade, which Mrs. Link and her husband put on, and that first there were no one signed up, and then before the end of the day, what was it, 17 people? That was very nice, and I must say I was really impressed with the awards, the gifts that were given out. There's a lot of work that went into that, and there were quite a few gifts. So the hometown celebration was, just to give an example of how well it went, there was in a place that had Italian ice. And this Italian ice looked wonderful, and some people had some and they said it was great. By the time I got around to going over there, it was all gone. So that's an indication. He said next time he'll bring more. This month I attended a meeting put on by South Jersey Professional Society concerning the FAA and FAA privatization, and it was a very interesting meeting. When things like this occur, you have special interests, and the special interests generally have money, and they push real hard for what they would like to see, which is privatization, and you really frequently don't have people representing the public. So a lot of what's heard is one-sided, and there really needs to be an effort to get the whole story out. I certainly am not going to go to it here, but I think one of the things that people should remember with regard to the FAA is that's the flight is probably inherently the most dangerous way to travel, but yet through the efforts of the FAA and others, it is currently the safest way by far to travel. That's compared to cars, buses, trains, boats, everything. And that's a result of the dedication of the people associated with it. And we complain about delays and things of that sort, and certainly there are some. But when you look at this system, it's the largest system in the world. People compare it. They say that Canada's privatized and Australia's privatized, and they try to make comparisons. There is no comparison. I mean, Canada has, what, 1/10 or less than 1/10 of our traffic, and they have a bigger airspace. You couldn't have a mid-air crash if you tried there. They've got so much airspace. And we helped them. We helped them achieve what they've achieved. So I would ask all of you, when you look at this, to try to evaluate the facts, because you don't hear very many of the facts. The VA Museum opened. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to attend. I hope some of you did, but if you didn't, it is open now, and I know a lot of work went into it, so I certainly would encourage it. The museum is on Route 50, just south of the Atlantic County Park entrance. Let me see. Oh, just one other comment about the Cirque Italia. I guess I saw one reference to it, but it is kind of discouraging that it's not advertised more, because, and it's coming up, what did you say, 6th, 8th, and 9th?
Yeah, 6th through the 9th.
So it's almost on top of it, and it's certainly the kind of event which we'd like to see more of in this town. So, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Rodney. Judy?
I noticed here that we're having a triathlon. Is that right? It says something about a triathlon here in your
Oh,
notes.
in Ingrid's report?
Yeah, I think,
Is it just coming up?
That same triathlon's been here
Yeah.
almost every year. Yeah.
No, I mean, I like the idea that it's going to be here, but I just want to prepare the people who come in early to my facility that the triathlon will be on July 8th. Okay.
That's what it says in her report.
Yeah, sometimes they use our parking lot, the Young Skating Center parking lot, but it seems to be over in time for everyone to be able to be satisfied. But we do have classes coming in, so I'll warn them that they can park a little bit further back, because they do have their bikes there, and so, and then they have the drinking. But this is, we didn't have this last year, though, did we? The triathlon?
I'm not sure.
I don't recall.
No, I
So we
mean
missed it.
because of the condition of the roads.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, I think we missed it 1 year.
Yeah, I think that's great, and they're going to be using the code for the swimming, right? Okay, and that's really good. Now, what is happening on the 15th of July? I know I probably shouldn't be asking you. What event is happening at Lake Lenape Park on the 15th of July? It's Gilda's?
Oh, yeah, the Gilda Club. They used to have that organization that's running it. His name is Henderson. And it's, I believe it was held in Ventnor. I'm not positive about that, but it was a big event, raised millions of dollars, and they are bringing it to Lake Lenape.
Now, is it a raft race, or what kind of?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
Only because I'm a participant.
Oh, cool.
Great.
It's called a dragon boat race.
Yeah.
It's to raise money for Gilda's Club. It puts, a bunch of people in a boat that's outfitted for rowing, and I guess we're going to race, and also we have tents that we establish food on the beach. And I mean, my office staff is running it. I'm just showing up as the guy that bangs the drum, But it sounds like it's going to bring a lot of people to the area.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there a charge to come in for that?
There is.
What?
There is a charge.
Okay.
And I don't know what it is, but just I can tell you that just in the boat that we're having, because there's 2 races, you need alternate rowers. You need about 20 people. So if there's 20 boats and 20 people, I don't know how many boats there are. I'm just saying, if there's that many, it's going to be a lot of people.
Just so we know who to root for, what's the name of your boat?
Hankins, Sandman, Palladino, and Weintraub.
All right.
Are they, the old wooden rowboats? Or
You know what? I haven't seen it yet. We actually have a tryout coming this week,
Oh, okay.
a warm-up tryout.
Is
so
it open for
You might
participants?
not have a heart attack.
I guess we are. Would you like to join us?
I don't know. It sounds interesting.
Well, I'm extending to you a public invitation.
There you go.
We have
First you gotta make
shirts,
sure the boat
outfits. It's kind of neat. I've never done it, and like I said, my office manager is doing all the work. I'm just going to show up and row.
Well,
But I know we have outfits, and
Send me
I
some
think we're
information.
cowboys.
Send me some information.
I will.
Okay.
And the group that's putting this on, this Henderson group, is the same group that wants to establish other events at the park, just for the record, so you know.
Is that-
He's great. He also does the Seafood Festival and a couple other big events.
Yeah, I used to row those old wooden rowboats, and then we had the aluminum rowboats, and
My impression are that these are longer. My impression is, and I haven't seen it, that you're talking about 10 to 12 rowers.
okay, like a mini, sculling race or something.
Anything else, Judy?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was going to say about the Pooch Parade. It was, normally we had it around 12, 1 o'clock, registration at 11:30. And because of the rain and that sort of thing, it got postponed till the 4 o'clock. And I'm going, oh my goodness gracious, I'm not going to have any entries. And up until about 3 o'clock, we only had 2 Poochies entered. So across from us, from my young skating center tent, was the Seeing Eye Dogs, or the dogs that would help people who needed help, to see. And they had the most beautiful labs. So I said, would you come out and join my Pooch Parade? Why, of course. So, and then Clayton was there with his dachshunds. One was a little overweight, but he's the one who was in a basket and a 1. He had 2 entries, Clayton Ingersoll, who used to run the park, and the English Bulldog, they won. And we had about 17 participants, but I had also gathered many certificates that usually not everybody can win first, second, and third. It's dependent upon whether it's a small dog, a medium-sized dog, or a large dog. And each category, there's first, second, and third. So we've always had door prizes, and this year we were able to get door prizes from all the different merchants in the area, which was really very good, and they were so happy to get them. So it worked out, as they say, all's well that ends well. And I was really afraid that I was going to be taking 6 trophies home with me, but no, we had a very good time. And that was, one of the events that I think a lot of people look forward to is the Pooch Parade. I've been doing it for 12 years, with my husband. So I think that's it then.
Okay, thank you, Judy. I'd like to open it up to public comment. Okay, I've seen Jack first. Wade, we'll get you next, Wade.
Well, you might have something for him. So.
John Percy, Laurel Street, Mays Lane, Laureldale. Great observation about the traffic on Black Horse Pike in front of the Palace Pizza. I have never seen as many cars parked on both sides of the road.
All the way down.
Both sides. In front of the junkyard, back from the junkyard east, all the way down east on the other side. Horrendous. So it's a disaster waiting to happen. The Weymouth, I still call it Old Weymouth Road.
Harding Highway.
The county's doing a great job with the sidewalking that they're doing. Hopefully they're going to continue and they're going to infill the rest of that area, because leaving some of the other sidewalk is ridiculous. But there's another situation that many people don't realize. On Mill Street and on Old Weymouth Road, there is no parking, right? There's no parking for cars for the residents who live there. The only access they have, and I don't even think it's named, but there's an alleyway that goes behind those houses on Mill Street. If you go in alongside the old Historic Society building, there's a pathway that goes in there, and you can go up behind those houses. That roadway, it's only a 10-foot alleyway, really, extends all the way out to Weymouth Road. It goes all the way to Weymouth Road. It does not stop anywhere. There's also a piece that goes behind those houses which connects to that. Now, I've mentioned it to our engineer that, and the property on the corner there, that's 732 lot 60, block 732 lot 65 is the corner property where there's a surveyor's stake. Now, the county cannot close that off. It's a municipal right-of-way. It's the only other access to get behind those houses. That's number one, for them to park, and number two, for public safety. You have to have an access in and an access out. This is the only access in is down the other end, and this access out is over here. Now, a lot of people don't even know that it exists. I know that it exists because I've had to do some stuff there before. But make sure that the county does not block that off with a curb and a sidewalk. They can put, whatever you call it, the
Driveway apron. A driveway apron. I did check that. It is on their plans to leave that open. It's actually, they're going to make provisions for an entrance at that area.
So they're going to put a driveway access to that?
Yes. At least that's what the plans show. I checked that very question.
Okay.
When you raised it with me before.
Because it looks like, I was just there today, and it looks like the concrete is extended pretty far east of where it should be. I'm not sure. I'm looking at the survey mark on that property, and that driveway cut should be right near there somewhere.
And the plan,
They were going about 4 or 5 feet beyond that.
I looked at the plan, if you look at the alignment of that alley, just as it projects out to, as you say, Old Weymouth Road or Harding Highway, that opening is improved and remains.
Okay, that's all my comment is. Thank you.
But if I'm checking these other things, I can certainly double check and make sure that that's the way it's going to be physically in the field.
Yeah.
If it matches up.
It is a matter of public safety, number one, and that's paramount, but it's also a matter of access to those properties.
Sure.
Now, the Intex or
That's
whatever
the
the name
back
of
door
it-
for emergency access.
Yeah. There's the one that goes behind those residential properties on Weymouth Road. That can't be eliminated because they would have no place to park their cars. That's how they always got in. The old Sorrentinos and the Ravels all lived in that area, and that's where they drove in there and they parked behind their houses that way. So, all right, thank you.
Sure.
Wayne?
Good evening. For the record, my name is Wayne Choice. I reside at 1010 Grand Avenue here in Mays Landing. I came here tonight to make some comments on Ordinance 1850, 2017, but you guys were too quick for me, and apparently you went right through it. I assume that the ordinance was approved, is that correct?
Was adopted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine. That's great. I wholly support the ordinance. The main purpose for my being here tonight is to make some comments about the overall condition and safety on Grand Avenue. The speed limit signs that are posted now on Grand Avenue, some of them are blocked by overgrown vegetation and can't be seen at all. Some of the signs are old in age and can't be seen at night because they're no longer reflective. So there's issues there with people driving down Grand being able to even see the signs that indicate that it is 25 miles an hour. On the southbound lane of Grand Avenue, just opposite my driveway, there's a speed limit sign on the southbound side, and it's located about 25 feet south of a utility pole. And as you proceed south on Grand from West Jersey Avenue, you can't see the sign until you're almost right on top of it. To have better vision of that particular sign, I think it needs to be moved to the north side of that utility pole so that for the entire span between the two utility poles, you're able to see the sign. I think one of the things I've experienced, I've lived on Grand Avenue since April of 2012 and had been building the property since late 2010. In my estimation, the average speed limit of drivers on Grand Avenue is 40 miles an hour or greater.
Right.
And that includes school buses, which amazes me that, school bus drivers, supposed to be protecting the young children, don't observe the speed limit. Unfortunately, two weeks ago, we had a tragic accident and a young man lost his life. I'm no forensic expert, but if you look at the damage done to the property and the fact that a young man died, I doubt that they were doing 25 miles an hour driving down that road.
No.
So, I think there can be some correction to the postings of the speed limit on the road to help so that drivers can better see that it's a 25 mile an hour zone. But I would also request that there be some more frequent enforcement of the speed limit on Grand Avenue. I'm more than willing to allow the police park in my driveway if they need to. I don't have an issue with that. But a little bit more frequency would make people aware and maybe be more cautious. The only other comment I have is the next tragedy on Grand Avenue might be related to the young people who drive unregistered and unlicensed ATV and trail bikes up and down Grand Avenue. There's been times where they've been driving at night without any lights on down Grand Avenue. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened. Mm-hmm. And adjacent to my property, there's an undeveloped street, 3rd Avenue, that they use constantly to cross Grand Avenue onto private property on the other side of the road. It happens on a daily basis, all hours of the day. And it's a nuisance to me. It's not on my property, but it is a nuisance. And I'm afraid that somebody's going to get killed as they try to cross that road, because people don't do 25 mile an hour, and these kids aren't registered or insured, I'm sure. So that's the only thing, the comments I have. I hope, I wholly support the ordinance. I believe 25 miles an hour is a proper speed limit for that road. There's several private homes. I have a 5-year-old. There are other children in the neighborhood, and I think it's important that it remain that and that it be enforced.
Wayne, when I was checking that out last week, I even came down Township Road. And there's a guy backing out of his driveway on Township Road, and I blew the horn, he would have hit me. So then when I went by, the speed limit's 25, and it's 25 all the way in through Egg Harbor Township, all the way down to English Creek.
Yep.
This guy came out of his driveway, came out, I'm doing 25. He passed me on a double-line road. He had to be doing 40 or 45.
It's not unusual.
And it happens. It's a total disrespect for communities and the speed limit. But what's more disturbing is, and I see it on my street in Mays Landing, the school bus is doing 40 miles an hour on a 25-mile street. And I know you can't be everywhere, Chief, and I'm sure it's difficult. Maybe if we can reach out to the bus company, because we have one big one here, and it's usually that company. I don't have to mention the name of it, but
Egg Harbor Township buses
the same.
Frequent the road.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And you're right. Had that young person been doing 25, they might have survived that crash.
I believe that.
That's unfortunate.
And your reference to, it's a double solid line all the way down Grand Avenue. If you try to do 25, even 30 miles an hour, somebody's going to pass you.
Oh,
It
sure.
happens on a regular basis. And and that's even more dangerous in a new passing and non-passing zone, especially on Grand Avenue where there's no improved shoulder along the entire length of the road.
Can I ask how long Grand Avenue is? I have the impression it's relatively short, but does that,
I'd say it's probably maybe a mile,
a
mile and a
mile?
half
Oh.
maximum.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for that trail that crosses the road there with the ATVs crossing?
Most of the, I believe the kids that are riding are coming from Egg Harbor Township. They're coming from behind the Miller School in the development back there. They ride along the gas company's property, right along their fence, and come across the back of my property, and then turn down that 3rd Avenue. They go across private property on the other side of Grand, and the trail goes out to the transmission line right away, and then they take that right away all the way down to the old gravel pits, and that's where they spend their afternoon, and then on the way back.
When you say trail, this is not an official public trail. This is just something that's resulted
There,
from...
it's all private property that they're riding on, except for 3rd Avenue, which is an unimproved township right away.
You come up West Jersey when you're making the...
Well, Wayne, thank you for bringing those items up. I seen, we have the right people in the room, and Brett was making some notes, and I seen Mike and the chiefs here, so we all heard what you said, and
Thank
we
you.
certainly will take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate having the time to talk about it.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. Is there anyone else in the public that would wish to speak?
Move to close the public. Oh, come on. I'm sorry.
You're not allowed.
Yeah. Yeah, come on up, Brett. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, you're fine.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's the floor.
Oh, yeah, looks
Wow.
nice.
Boy, that room looks awful big with nothing in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does look nice, too.
No, that's too nice.
First thing I want to say is it's good to be back.
Yes, it's good to have you back. Thank you.
And what you're looking at is the
Turn over the back.
floor resurfacing project that we budgeted for this year, and
That's great.
it's the Public Works Building. And I just wanted to thank the Budget Committee and the Township Committee for approving these repairs at the Public Works building.
Wow.
Looks great, too. The
Yeah, it
pictures on the
was
back are
certainly
great.
needed, yeah.
They're very nice.
That's it, that's all.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold everyone up.
Brett,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
That's nice to see.
Mike.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak?
Move to close the public portion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Abstain? Great, great. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
so, second.
Motion and a second. We're adjourned. Thank you.